check out ESPN Film's newly released 30 for 30 podcast. From the producers of our award-winning documentary series, this is an amazing collection of sports stories you need to hear to believe. Speaking of amazing, Delta Airlines and the Fly Delta app make your travel experience amazingly easy with real-time bag tracking, e-boarding, and passport scanning during check-in. And don't forget to download 30 for 30 podcast to fill your flight with stories that will keep you coming back for more.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head to death. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Give me your boom.
I'm David Jacoby, in for Jalen Rose. Repeat guest here at Jalen Jacoby, Anita Marks. How are you, Anita?
I'm great. And I have to say, like, every time I'm on your show, all my friends and people in the industry are like, God, they love you. I'm like,
we say nice things about you.
I'm like, yeah, they actually, like, they really, really like me.
Really? Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that you're here.
I love that I'm here today.
I'm really glad that you're here. One of the things that you cover heavily is the New York Football Giants. And guess what? There's some Giants news to start with.
I know.
This is never a good sign when the owner of the team says something like this. We have John Mara and Steve Tisch saying, quote, Ben McAdoo is our head coach and has our support.
Yeah, I think that's what they have to say. Because you know what? Listen, it is the Giant way. Willington Mara, John Mara's father. I mean, this is the way that the organization operates. And this is, with all due respect, I mean, in honesty, this is why they have so much respect in and around the NFL, is because this is how they operate. And so I get it. Now, I do believe that there will be changes made at the end of the season.
No, you don't think McAdoo's going to be the head coach next year?
Come on.
What?
Come on.
Do you think they should consider?
Come on. How can anyone survive this? I said this on Sports Nation. I hate talking about people losing their jobs.
Sure.
It's the worst thing to talk about because it's not just Ben McAdoo. It's an entire coaching staff. So I hate to talk about it, but I don't know how someone survives what has happened here. And also, I don't believe this is the wisest decision. I think based on what's happening in that locker room, there's so much, it's such dysfunction happening. The New York media is, there is blood in the water, and there are sharks in that locker room right now, and all they want to talk about is the players that are turning on Ben McAdoo. That's the topic. How can a team seriously concentrate and prepare for an opponent each and every week when the topic of discussion is how much the team in the locker room has turned on their coach? And you've got Ben McAdoo who's calling it fake news. Well, you've got Josina Anderson, who every day is getting text messages from players in that locker room who are telling her
real news.
It's real news.
So here's the question: is we are in agreement that he will not be the head coach next season, right? So should there be some consideration to perhaps? I know it's not the Giant way, but just saying, you know what? We're going to have this interim head coach now, and Ben McAdoo is no longer the head coach.
Spagnuolo, who really, in my opinion, Spags, he should come in. He's the defensive coordinator right now. He's been a head coach before with the Rams. We've seen him be the head coach for the Rams before. I really think that a changing of the guard needs to happen now, and not to say that Spags should be the head coach moving forward. Okay, who knows? Maybe they send the Saints a draft pick for Sean Payton. Sean Payton, part of that Giants family. Again, this is
talk to me. I like this.
This is what the Giants like to do. They like to keep it in-house. Jason Garrett at one point in time, keep in mind, was a part of the Giants organization. Sean Payton. I'm really big on Josh McDaniels, but I think Josh McDaniels is waiting for Bill Belichick and Tom Brady to ride off in the sunset with their 6 or 7 Super Bowls, whatever at the end of the day that they win, and I think he knows he's the next heir apparent. But I think that's a guy that the Giants should consider going after. But it's so bad. It's so toxic. It's so ugly, and I don't see it getting better unless Ben leaves. And so that's why but I'm saying right now it needs to change. Like they've got Philadelphia coming up. They lost to the San Francisco, an 0-9 San Francisco 49ers. The schedule gets more difficult. It's gonna get uglier as the season progresses.
John and Steve are hanging out, and they say, you know what? I don't know what to do about this. I'm going to call Anita. Let's get on the phone with Anita. Let's conference call Anita.
Uh-oh.
She's around. She knows a lot. Let's get her on the phone, and let's ask her what we should do. Should we fire him midway through the season?
And what would I say? Yeah. I'd say, listen, that locker room is toxic right now. You've got players that are reaching out to media anonymously and telling that media person, who of course is reporting, Josine Anderson on ESPN, how it is. And now what's happened is now there's divide in the locker room, because now you've got Landon Collins and Jonathan Casillas and Snacks Harrison, who are angry and upset of these anonymous players that are communicating this. So now there's dissension in the locker room. And again, winning is the best deodorant. There's Tom's deodorant in there right now, and it doesn't work.
Tom's deodorant we all know Tom's deodorant doesn't work.
Tom's deodorant doesn't work.
Unless they sponsor this show.
Oh, and they don't. Right?
No, they don't.
Okay,
no.
thank you.
No.
So it's going to get worse, because this team is going to continue to lose. So I think it's the best interest of this organization, what's going on in that locker room, to move on from Ben right now.
And there's also some news about Roger Goodell's extension. Now, this has been talked about in the last few days, and Jerry Jones gets involved. And now the NFL Compensation Committee has said, Jerry, enough is enough. Like, we'll leave yourself out of this. And reportedly, Goodell asked for the following. I love this so much.
This is so great.
$49.5 million a year. That's American dollars. $49.5 million a year. That's only,
by the way, it's only $9 million more than he's making. He's averaging $40 million.
Everybody wants a bump.
Understand where
this is my favorite part,
what the bump up is.
We're talking about $9 million. He wants health care for his family for life, forever.
Don't we all?
Sure, love that. Just get that security, and a lifetime private plane.
Right.
Soft move or boss move? Making this sort of request amidst this environment.
When I negotiate with ESPN, I'm scared to ask for first class.
I love playing for life. That's a ridiculous request.
I'm worried I'm not going to get an ESPN extension if I request first class. This dude's asking
Coach is fine. Coach is fine. As long as you're in the middle seat, you'll be fine. Get the exit row. You're all right.
I think it's comical for us, and it's funny for us, because we're the average Joe Schmoes.
Sure.
This is a totally different lifestyle. This is obviously a totally different pay grade, access and the availability to anything and everything in the world. But listen, I give him credit. Look, it's a boss move.
He also sees the numbers. When you're the commissioner, you see the numbers. You're like, we are making billions of dollars here of profit, so I just want my piece.
To be honest, I just want to be his agent. I
like it. I like the plane for life.
10%.
But when it got later in the negotiation, I'd be like, I also want my own logo on the plane. I want a decal, and I want to pick my pilot.
I think the big. We're having fun in regard to what monetarily he's making, but I think the big issue here is, you've messed up on so many domestic violence in the NFL, a number of things that in his tenure have gone wrong, and then now you're coming in with a boss move and negotiating.
Papa John's is involved. It's not like things are going great. When things are going great, you can ask for this sort of a thing.
Exactly.
But when the very foundation of the business, which is television ratings, are going down,
it's
hard for your salary and compensation to go up.
The whole national anthem issue, a big reason why. Listen, I play golf a lot in the summer, and I'd say 60 to 70% of the guys that I play golf with have all said to me, I'm not watching. I love the NFL. I'm not watching. Why? Because they find the whole anthem issue very anti-patriotic, and it's been a turnoff. And so ratings, all these things, all these negatives that have happened under his tenure, and he wants his own plane.
We celebrate women every week. Every Wednesday we have a special episode just for women.
Really?
Women Crush Wednesday, we call it.
Maybe I should fly out to LA every Wednesday.
Every single Wednesday, you can fly out on your own dime and volunteer your time here on Jalen Jacoby.
Love what you did
that
there.
Changed.
Thank you.
I want to talk to you about the Cowboys.
How about them Cowgirls?
How about them? Well, everything was going pretty good. Won 3 games in a row. And then they gave up 6 sacks to one human being on Sunday and got waxed by the Falcons. Do you think they will make the playoffs? What is happening now?
No, I do not think they will make the playoffs. First and foremost, obviously the biggest news is Ezekiel Elliott, right? So,
of course.
He fought that battle and he won and then he failed. And then he won and then he failed. And so now a new hearing is set for December 1st, but everything I'm hearing is it's going to be 6 games. So he's not coming back until they take on Seattle. So, but it's evident based on what we saw in this Atlanta game that they're not committed to the run at all without Ezekiel there. Okay, you've got Alfred Morris. We saw what he was able to to do in Washington. Rod Smith, McFadden, but
I think McFadden got one snap.
Yeah. I mean, but this is actually the first game. I want to say that he was even he was active.
Yeah. He's
and not. I call it active and not attractive. So I like a little sound.
Yeah.
It's cute. Yeah, it's really cute.
So
So first and foremost, it's evident that this is a Dallas Cowboys team. They're not committed to the run. Number two, their offensive line, obviously not 100%, not healthy, as you said. Smith was out, Green was in, gave up 6 sacks to one Adrian Claiborne for the Atlanta Falcons. So, but it's not all on the offensive line. The coaching staff needed to make adjustments. Jason Garrett, Scott Linehan, they needed to make adjustments, and they didn't. If that's happening, you go in there at the half and you say, okay, guys, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go jumbo package. Let's put an extra offensive lineman on the line.
Let's move in there. We'll help with the running back. Anything.
Let's move the tight end over so that he can at least help chip. How about you keep a running back in the backfield for max protect, extra help out of the backfield? None of that happened. So you've got to put it on the coaching staff. On top of that, like I'm not a big fan of Dez Bryant. I haven't been for the past 2 years.
Well, I mean, he's Dak Prescott apparently because he doesn't throw the ball his way too much.
Well, here's the thing. I spoke to a number of coaches and players, and here's the difference. Tony Romo would force the ball to Dez Bryant, and Dez Bryant's what his wheelhouse is I'm big, I'm strong, throw the ball to me, I'm going to go up, I'm going to fight for it, and gosh darn it, I'm going to catch the ball for you.
Yes.
Dak Prescott doesn't do that. Dak Prescott throws the ball to open guys.
Receivers.
Yeah. Dak Prescott is not going to force the ball. So this, you have a quarterback who's not playing a wide receiver's strong suit or his game. On top of that, with all due respect, he's old. Father time has caught up with him.
Injuries.
He's got like 9, 12 screws in his foot. He's dealing with a knee issue now. He doesn't run great routes. He's not fast, and he drops a lot of balls. I go back to the heyday when the Dallas Cowboys were winning Super Bowls, and you had that trifecta, right? Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, and Troy Aikman. I won't use the word shock, but I'm a little surprised. I thought the Dallas Cowboys would try to trade Dez Bryant and focus in on next year going out and bringing in a real stud wide receiver and create that trifecta that was so successful during their heyday. So I think a big reason why they're struggling as well is Dez, and they lost their field goal kicker. Dan Bailey is one of the best field goal kickers in the NFL, and when you have a field goal kicker who's like money from 50, 55, 58 out, it gives your offense such confidence.
Just get us to the 35-yard line. Can you get us to the 35? Don't forget the red zone. Get us to the 35.
And it's like automatic 3 points. And so when you lose that confidence, you lose the confidence in running the football because you don't have Ezekiel Elliott, your coaching staff.
Sean Lee.
Your coaching staff, and that's another thing. Sean Lee. Sean Lee is one of the underestimated, undervalued. I don't think people realize how awesome Sean Lee is as a player. As soon as Sean Lee went out, Matt Ryan, he took advantage of the matchup. Yep. I was telling people in fantasy, you know me with fantasy, I'm a fantasy nut. I was telling people, do not play Austin Hooper because that matchup with Sean Lee, he wasn't gonna put up a point for you. What happened as soon as Sean Lee went out, like I want to say like a few minutes into the first quarter with a hamstring issue, he just got targeted. I want to say 6 receptions, almost I want to say 50, 55 yards, and he scored a touchdown because Matt Ryan is a smart quarterback, and that's what he did. So with all those reasons we just sat here for 5 minutes and talking about, you've got the Seattle Seahawks, you've got the Minnesota Vikings, you've got better teams that are going to be competing to try to get in as a wild card. So unfortunately, they're not going to win the division. The Philadelphia Eagles are just unbelievable. I mean, probably one of the best stories this year in the NFL. They're not going to win the division, and I don't think they get in as a wild card.
Can you explain to me this Martellus Bennett situation? I've read all the stuff and I understand it, but I want to hear you explain it to me and our audience exactly what happened with him.
So it's really interesting. So every team has their own medical staff, right? And some medical staffs are more lenient than others, right? Like the Giants are known to have the most conservative medical staff, where like if there's an inkling of any kind of injury, they will tell the owners, you cannot play this player, and there's no negotiating. There's no talking them out of it, right? And there's other teams out there that are like, well, his ligament does... his ligament does feel loose. Maybe if, we give him some therapy and he wraps it, put some tussin on it, put some Robitussin on it.
I'll wrap it with some ace bandage, it'll be fine.
Get him out there, like little Chris Rock. Anyway, so...
Our audience understands the reference.
So all teams have a different kind of like mentality or philosophy when it comes to their medical staff. I would imagine that the Patriots medical staff is pretty serious. So and the Green Bay Packers, I would as well. So this is what I think happened. I think Bennett, AKA the Black Unicorn. He calls himself that, right?
I do know.
Okay, all right. So he goes to the Green Bay Packers. He's got Aaron Rodgers, unbelievable wide receiving, like solid rushing attack with Ty Montgomery, right? And Aaron Jones is back there, and Jamal Williams. Anyway, man, Super Bowl contender. Mm-hmm. He's excited. I think this is his last year playing. Oh boy, I won a Super Bowl with the Patriots. Now what if I win a Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers? Life is good. How's that working out for you? Not very well. Aaron Rodgers is out. Hundley is nowhere close to Aaron Rodgers. And I think the writing was on the wall. And so a lot of times when guys kind of know what's happening and they have no shot of winning, ow, my ear hurts. Ow, my toe hurts. And so they'll go to the medical staff, and the medical staff, maybe they don't find anything, but what are you going to do? Tell the player that he's lying? You can't do that. So I don't know anything. This is my opinion. This is what I think happened, is that Martella, that I just think he was just like, you know what? I'm done. Like, this is my last year. I don't want to go out there and play and like injure myself even more. I'm not saying he doesn't have an injury. Maybe his shoulder is a little beat up, but is it as bad as he was saying? Obviously not. You saw him
just go
out and play for the Patriots.
38 yards receiving, 6 targets.
So he gets cut. Patriots, like they always do, pick him up. They bring him in, and I mean, not like he didn't woo the world last night, but
they used him.
But they used him,
and he got tackled, and he caught balls.
And let me tell you, they're going to continue to use him, and if this Patriots team continues to roll, and their defense gets each and every week, their defense has gotten better and better and better. Mm-hmm. He's going to be a big part of that offense once they get into the postseason. So again, it's just like the rich get richer. The Patriots continue to get better. It's unbelievable. It's like one of the facts in life.
So you are our favorite fantasy guru here, Jalen Jacoby.
Thank you.
You're in 70,000 leagues.
12.
And I'm not going to let you leave without giving our listeners, not people like me that aren't in the hunt anymore. You know what I mean?
Really? Are you done?
I mean, I'm never
Why?
done. I'm going to keep
What's
fighting.
What's your record?
3-5?
Oh,
no,
you're done.
More than that. Whatever. I got like 3 wins. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you're
imagine that one of our listeners, some of our listeners are they're in the hunt.
Right.
Second, third, fourth place in their league. They're still in it. Give me like 2 solid, actionable pieces of advice for people that are still in the hunt in their fantasy.
Well, I think what you need to start looking at matchups. And I want to say 2 weeks ago, I looked back and I looked at matchups, and quarterback wise, Derek Carr and Tyrod Taylor have unbelievable matchups in week 12 through 14 through 16.
Okay.
Week 14 through 16, and that's where your playoffs start 14, 15. Your championship typically is week 16. So try to trade because Tyrod Taylor at one point in time you were able to pick him up off the waiver wire. Not anymore. And I'm not looking at this past game against the Saints. The Saints defense is just ridiculous. They're so much better than what most people what we've come to expect with the Saints, right?
Especially from the Saints, yes.
Unbelievable. So, but Tyrod Taylor and Derek Carr, these are 2 quarterbacks that you want to try to trade for. Trade deadline's right around the corner, by the way. So you need to be you need to run, not walk. You need to be active and attractive, and try to go out there and try to trade as quickly as possible and go get these guys. There's a number of wide receivers. Like, for example, Allen Hurns just went down for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars have a receiver called D.D. Westbrook. This guy's unbelievable.
Nice.
I have a feeling that he hasn't been active yet this season. I have a feeling that he's going to be active now that if Allen Hurns is done for the season, I have a feeling he's going to come in. And I'm talking about guys who are like, if you're in a 14, 16-man league and you're desperate. I mean, I'm talking like desperate.
Sure.
D.D. Westbrook was a guy you want to keep an eye on. I'd pick him up this week in fantasy. Again, the Jacksonville Jaguars, very favorable schedule moving forward, especially for wide receivers. And also, keep an eye on Curtis Samuel. With the trade with Kelvin Benjamin going to the Buffalo Bills,
right.
Each and every week, Curtis Samuel is getting more and more targets. We're going to see him play tonight, Monday Night Football, for the Carolina Panthers.
Westbrook,
Samuel.
Right. Trade for Taylor.
trade for Derek Carr and Tyrod Taylor.
3 very actionable pieces of advice from our favorite fantasy guru, Anita Marks.
There you go.
Shout to Matthew Berry. He's on another level.
Shout out.
Listen, I just want to say thank you so much for coming by and being on Jalen Jacoby. And I also want to say, next time you're in town, come golf with me. You know what I mean? We'll get a new perspective. What's your
handicap?
I'm a terrible golfer, but my handicap is like 7 beers around.
Okay.
Computer, execute 12.4p operation.
Optimizing algorithm. Running encryption packet alpha. Night. Oh, I don't feel so good.
What is it, computer?
Is it hot in here? It feels hot in here? I feel a little clammy. I should lie down or something.
A computer with a virus? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Those oysters Rockefeller were a mistake.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Thank Anita Marks for coming by. Right now, we have Ramona Shelburne.
Swapping one blonde for another, right?
Yes. Ramona, do you remember the Celtics when they were 0-2 and they lost Gordon Hayward?
Yeah, and it was so sad.
And it was just so sad, and I felt bad for sad Brad Stevens there on the sideline. Well, now they are winning and winning and winning and winning and winning. 12 straight. They've won the last 2 games without Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward. How do you make sense of this? How long do you think it will continue?
I think it will continue until Thursday when they lose to the Warriors. But for right now, it's a really nice story.
It is. We'll enjoy it for half of a week.
For half of a week. Because I think like Golden State's going to go in there and say, okay, we're still the Warriors. I know we lost a few games early.
They dial up and down at will. I've noticed that about that team.
Golden State's like
dial
the
up and
C
down
student
at will.
who can get like the A on any test they want if they study.
How did you get 1,500 on the SATs?
Yes.
And exactly.
That's Golden State. So they'll go in there. It's Boston. They want to assert that they can beat anybody, any place, and it gets their attention. They'll be motivated, I think, and they match up well. One of the things the Celtics have been doing this year, I think, is it's just defensively. They've got all these young dudes who are really long, which is something we've heard before with the Warriors, right? Like they're one of those teams that everybody now is derivative of the Warriors. Like you're looking at how to beat Golden State. So when the Warriors stand arm to arm, they're really long and nobody can get through, and so everybody looks at that and says, okay, we need guys like that too. And you got young guys like with Rozier and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tate. Like they're stepping up defensively, which is how you can win without your stars when they go down.
Would you consider them to be the favorite to come out of the East?
Nope.
Me neither.
Still going with the Cavs. I'm
Me
still
too.
there.
I'm so not concerned about the Cavs.
I know, me neither. I want to sound the alarm bells and all that. I can make a case. I can play that part and say they're the oldest team in the league.
But why?
I can say they don't have the same team around them. Isaiah Thomas is not. If he comes back, maybe he's not the same guy. How much can you count on him? LeBron needs another playmaker alongside of him. If Isaiah is there, I could do that. I could get you all riled up. I could make the Cavs are doomed case, but I don't believe it.
We all know LiAngelo Ball and a gentleman named Jalen.
Okay.
And Cody Riley were in China. They stole some Louis Vuitton sunglasses.
Right.
I have a lot of questions about this, but we'll table that for a second. Was it one pair? Was it 3 pairs? They're going to share the pair? How does this all work?
I think there were other stores too. From the latest Arash Markazi reporting was that there were 3 different stores. And there was multiple things going on.
A spree.
Yeah, there's footage of them.
So coordinated.
And we all have to say allegedly. Okay, we have to do that every time we do that, so that's the journalistic check here. But there's a reason why they're still under house arrest there, and the team is home.
You mentioned Arash. He's also reporting that while in China, the president of the United States pulled the president of China to the side,
put his arm around him,
and was just like, hey man, can you help me out with this ball thing? I'm a big fan of the Big Baller brand.
You know what? If this ends up with Donald Trump and LeVar Ball at a press conference, I'm done.
Need that.
I'm done.
We need that. Do we need that?
I think we do.
I don't think we need that.
I need that.
Can Dennis Rodman be there? Can we get Dennis Rodman involved?
Well, there is North Korea involved, right? That could happen. Dennis Rodman could be there brokering nuclear treaties with North Korea.
And Trump could be there brokering LiAngelo Ball.
Yeah. Look,
somehow.
Here's what, have you been to China?
Yes.
Okay. And you understand how much of what's going on here is about respect, right? it looks from the footage, from what we've been reading, even though this is all an allegation at this point, they haven't been charged, it looks like they did it, okay? So it looks like there's footage of them stealing stuff from Chinese stores. And this
We're
is stuff
on it late at night. We can say they did it.
Yeah,
they did it.
So that's disrespectful. In that culture, that is very disrespectful. To come into somebody else's country and in their stores and take things that you don't need, okay? Take them for the sake of taking them. And a lot of people in China are already sensitive to this. I've made a few calls on it and finding out what's really going on. And I think a lot of this is just political. Like, they're probably going to get out and they're probably going to go home.
Yes.
And the question is UCLA going to suspend them?
Yeah, I love that they could face up to 10 years. Like, they're not going to do 10 years in jail, but they're going to have 10 years in jail threatened to them, and they're going to be told how serious this is, but eventually they will be playing basketball for,
I think people in China have this sense that, one, they're being treated by different rules than a regular Chinese citizen who did something like this. They'd already be in jail, okay?
Sure.
That has to be massaged, right? But they need to, like LeVar saying the first day, I think Raj got him on camera saying it's not a big deal. Yeah. That did not go over very well.
I bet.
And I think this is really all about respect. And so if there's a way to massage this and make the messaging work for China and the Chinese authorities, they'll be home. If there isn't, it might be their minute.
Well, Earvin Magic Johnson was on Mike and Mike, and he was talking about the other Ball brother, the one that actually plays in the NBA. Yeah. And here's what he had to say.
We're not going to mess with it. We're going to let him shoot and play his game. And after the season he's not shooting well, then we'll sit down with him and say, hey, let's maybe look at a different way, or let's try to improve the way you are shooting. What is it that caused you not to shoot well? Is it your balance? Is it the fact that you didn't release it well? We can break it down with him, but we don't want to mess with his shot. He's proven that he's knocked that shot down, and we want him to encourage him to keep shooting.
I love Magic saying, we don't know what it is about your shot that's not working. I can't imagine it might be the fact that you shoot it from the other side of your body next to your face.
Yeah.
But we don't know. We don't know.
I'm super well versed in the history of this Lonzo Ball shot, okay? And I know too much about this, all right?
Talk to me.
Part of the reason he started shooting like that is that LeVar Ball had him play up. So he would be 11 and he'd play against 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, and they were all taller than him. So in order to get around and over them, they're not all tall like you, Jacoby, right? He was a little Lonzo at that point. He just developed this weird shot, right? He just it was just an adaptation, an evolutionary adaptation, right?
Sure, get Darwin on
They go in. And so then, he's always said, I don't need to change the shot if it's going in. But if it's not going in, I'll think about changing the shot. And it was he said that in his draft interviews. He said that to the Lakers. But when the Lakers, remember, they had 2 workouts with him. And the first workout he came in was not all that impressive. I don't think he'd really been training all that much. He'd been training, but not game shape, right? And I think he was sick or, whatever. We all heard those stories afterwards. Yeah. So the Lakers had another workout with him, and he went through and he met Magic and Rob Pelinka went out to Chino Hills. They did it on Lonzo's turf. And I talked to somebody real close to Magic, and they said, Earvin just needs to watch the guy shoot and see if it goes in. I mean, you remember Magic had a weird shot too. Well, not like that, okay?
Not like that, but yes, it was a non-traditional form.
He's seen strange shots before.
As did Larry Bird, one of the best shooters of all time. Okay,
but his was way up here. But he needed to look at it for himself and say, can he get that shot off in the NBA? And after he saw him the second time, he felt confident that he could get it off in the NBA. It's a strange shot, but the guy's 6'6". I mean, by the way, Ben Simmons has a weird shot too.
Shoots with the wrong hand.
Correct. And a lot of people were like, I don't know if that guy can even shoot in the NBA when he gets there.
He can't shoot in the NBA, but he doesn't.
But look how good he is anyway.
Exactly. He does everything else.
And he does everything else, and he's really aggressive, and he's 6'10". So Lonzo being 6'6" really helps. And I think they feel that if he's just aggressive and he goes to the hoop and he can hit that little floater in the mid-range game, they can live with him having that funky shot. And eventually, once he starts getting a little confidence closer to the rim, he'll be better on the outside shot.
What I heard was, we're going to completely change it this summer. We're going to let him have his rookie year with this bad shot. That's kind of what I heard when I was listening to that. I'm like, Ramona, when they relaxed the NFL celebration rule, I was really excited for this. And I have to say, I've been very disappointed this season. There has been very few noteworthy or even semi-entertaining celebrations in the National Football League. And then we were outdone by the Canadians in the CFL. Take a look at this. They're playing limbo with a human being after a touchdown. You should get extra points. Do you get extra points for that?
I think that was really good.
You should definitely get extra points for that. Do you think that we've been out-celebrated by the Canadians up north?
I like what the Chiefs did. Remember, like the beanbag race?
The potato sack race.
Potato sack race or whatever. It was pretty good.
Right.
But that was solid. Like, you have to do that quickly.
I enjoyed that.
You can't just, like, get into the limbo thing and, like, they practiced that.
I also had high hopes for the Los Angeles Clippers this year.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Why, just to go the other way, Zig, when others are zagging, or what?
They won 4 straight to start the season.
They do that in the beginning
of years. Things were going good, and now they are absolutely terrible. What is happening with the Clippers?
Patrick Beverley's hurt, Teodosic's hurt, Gallo's been a little hurt, and like when they don't have any margin for error with those guys. Plus, all those dudes like got traded in the sort of grab bag trade, right? Like, here's how we're going to make all the salaries match, and like it's hard to build something when you have guys who just got here, weren't signed here, maybe are under contract for a year. Like, it's just hard to go in the same direction.
Well, it's easy to go in the right direction in New York City because all New Yorkers know the easiest way to get around is the subway system.
That's correct.
Don't get in a cab. Don't get in an Uber. It's never going to work out for you. And you know who else learned this? The Cleveland Cavaliers. They were told that it was going to be a 45-minute bus ride or a 6-minute train ride. First of all, no train ride is 6 minutes, but whatever. They got lied to.
Yeah.
So they went onto the subway.
It's probably not a 45-minute drive either.
There's LeBron on the subway. They're enjoying it. Cal Korver's there. Next to him, they got the nice spot next to the door. So you're not in between two people. Dwayne Wade. Everyone's wearing their hoods. Yep. Then there's this guy who's getting filmed, gets upset about it.
I mean...
No, we have now learned this guy's done an interview.
What?
The guy who didn't want to be filmed. Did not know it was LeBron James next to him. Thought it was a college team. He was in his phone. Everyone's in their phone.
And they had
He said it was early on. It was early on in the day. He hadn't had his latte yet. And he didn't want to be filmed. He also said this.
So good.
LeBron James elbowed him 2 or 3 times.
To let him know.
So anyone who's been on the subway is if you have an elbowy person next to you, it's a problem. So he actually spoke to LeBron James and asked him to stop. And a teammate said, no, it's cool.
No, it's cool. Like, in other words, hey, bro.
That's the dynamic
LeBron.
of the Cavs. Can I read way too much into this? It's like if someone else speaks to LeBron, someone else has to get involved and fix it.
There was a minute there where it looked like LeBron was flirting with the Knicks again. You know, like, we got Porzingis. And, right? It looked like, Phil's gone. They got a nice team.
Ooh, I like what you're doing here.
But that guy just ruined it.
He did.
That guy. It's all his fault. He's like the Bartman of the Knicks.
Stop being such a tourist, Cavs. Stop filming your rides on the subway. I'm just trying to get to work.
LeBron films every ride. Like, do you follow him on IG stories?
Of course. He's in the back of a transit with his own logo in there. And all he does is listen to music, but it's the same thing over and over and over. It's like, I get it. You don't need to just listen to the same song and show me different sections of the same song, LeBron. I get it. You know the
he's
words.
Wagging the dog, right? Like, he knows that we have to listen because every once in a while there might be like a great subtweet in there. He might be throwing shade at somebody. One of those songs might be like Meek Mill where he's like saying something about Kyrie. Like, he's doing that because he knows we have to watch.
I'm always curious why he's in a car with his headphones on listening to music.
True.
It's almost like they should invent something that would pump sound throughout the vehicle to surround you with it. That you don't need to put earbuds in.
That is not something I would have thought of, but it's a really good point.
I know.
I've seen the car. It's a big van.
It's a transit.
Yeah, it's like a big carrier van, so it's not just like a car.
I'm a minivan enthusiast. That's like a
I think it's more than a van. It's more than a van. It's like the money team van.
All right, we always say we have to give our listeners a dope pod to step to. So we're not just, we have no radio today. We've got guests in for Jalen, but we're not just going to mail it in and give you 22 minutes. We're going to do some exclusive podcast content. Here we have Ramona Shelburne joining me in the Jalen Jacoby studio. Ramona, I'm going to ask you some questions about the National Basketball Association.
Let's do it.
They're going to be very simple and straightforward.
Do I get to ask you questions too?
Of course.
Okay.
Are the Pistons any good?
Yes, I think they are good. I think they're going to make the playoffs and be out in the second round. That's big for them.
Okay.
That's progress.
Let's play fill in the blank. The Bucks are the blank best team in the Eastern Conference.
Fourth.
So they're bumping the Raptors or the Wizards?
I think okay, I'll bump the Wizards. I'll bump the Wizards. Yeah, I kind of like the Raptors this year. They're up and down. Like I think it's gonna take a little time for them to learn how to play that way. But I think that I don't know. I like them more. I have more faith in them because the Wizards have been talking a lot, and then when they have these big games, they don't deliver. And I don't like that. Like to me, it's like if you're gonna talk, you better bring it in that game.
I'm gonna make a huge generalization here, but something I have noticed in decades of sports fandom is sometimes before you get there, you have to get almost there.
Yeah.
And the Raptors have done their almost there thing.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, here we are in the Eastern Conference Finals. What an accomplishment. Like, you kind of need to lose a couple to, like, get over the hump. Now, that's a total generalization, cliche thing to say, like a total radio guy thing to say, but like, it is true. It has happened.
Oh, I don't think they're getting over the hump. I still think they're like third. I think Boston and Cleveland are going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals this year. And the question is whether or not Cleveland is in it right then. They have a bunch of old guys. Like, that's the oldest team in the league.
Cleveland's going to be in it.
You think they're going to win it?
Yes.
You think they're going to go to the finals again?
Yes.
I do too.
I'm almost positive. Like, I'm almost
positive too.
Yeah.
Unless somebody gets hurt, or if, like, you know, LeBron hurts his elbow or his shoulder or something. Like that happened his last year in Cleveland the last time.
Gets hurt.
I know, that's true. He could just, like, get a new
Did
arm.
you see his ankle? I was watching that game. He, like, his ankle hit the ground.
Like...
And I thought, I was like, oh, God. Like, that's at least, like, a week.
Yeah, I think they just ordered up a new ligament and put it in.
And then he came back in the game later. He was hurt.
And it was the same ankle he sprained in training camp. Like, that was I was like, oh, he's going to be out.
Do you know what I attribute all this to?
Okay.
The yoga bubble workout. If you're not a complete NBA nerd, you don't know what I'm talking about. But he's got these weird little, like, bubbles that he stands on before games and does workouts. I think those make your ankles really strong.
But then if your ankle was that strong, it wouldn't, like, fold over the way
it's not made of steel, but like you're stronger and more pliable in that area.
I mean, bounce back a little bit.
What I'm going to go with.
All right, I'll go with you on that.
You said you're going to the Knicks-Lakers game.
A couple weeks, yeah.
I'm a very die easy Knicks fan.
Die easy.
Yep.
All right.
There's a lot to be excited about in New York.
Yep.
Do you believe Kristaps Porzingis can continue this tear?
I do. Yeah. I do. I'm a believer in the unicorn, and I even like Hardaway. Like, I like that little combo they got going. I feel good about the Knicks in that they are going finally in a direction that looks like up. Okay. I don't know that they're really good, but I thought they were tanking this year. Like, the way that they came out of the gate.
They did too.
I think they did too. Because it's a really strong draft. And they're like, well, we could use another lottery
pick. And you look at their roster on paper, it doesn't scream like, we're making a run at this.
You kind of got the sense like, oh man, they started off so bad, and like Hornacek's job was kind of in question, and are they playing the right way? Can Porzingis bring it? And then his brother's out there talking like, oh, he's not going to only think about the money in free agency. And I was like, this is not going in the right direction. And it's starting to... Now it seems like they're in a direction that looks like up.
I do agree. So I'm not going to talk to you about where LeBron James is playing next year because I have a little bit of fatigue on that topic, and I don't think that he knows where he's playing. It's also November, yeah. Like, I don't think he knows where he's going, so we're all just kind of like yapping.
Yeah.
But I know you're very connected in Los Angeles, the Lakers organization.
I'll go with that.
So let's say, what other free agents?
Okay.
Like I think the Lakers roster is going to be completely different next year.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So like,
I think it'll be different by February.
Not named LeBron James.
Yeah.
What other players could you see in the purple and gold? I'm not going to hold you to this, but just potentials.
I don't think anybody has talked nearly enough about the two big centers who are going to be free agents this summer. DeMarcus and DeAndre Jordan.
Ooh, for DeAndre, I just feel like he just resigned because of that whole hostage situation.
I know. We're still reliving
that. That's already coming up.
Right.
That's a 4-year deal with one,
he's got an
one option. He can opt out.
They've been trying to talk him into an extension. He doesn't have an agent. They don't want to negotiate with him until he gets himself an agent. It doesn't really behoove him to do it now.
No.
Because he can make a lot more money by opting out and doing another max deal or something like that. If you don't want to give him the max, what do? I think Boogie's
still... He's not Supermax qualified.
Yeah, DeAndre would be.
DeAndre is.
Yeah, DeAndre. Now, Boogie, because he's in New Orleans, right? I don't think he can get that either, right? I think the way those rules work, you had to get it with your own team. Yep. But Boogie is the guy that we have to watch really, really carefully because I don't know that partnership with Brow works. And I don't know if he knows if it works.
Sure.
I think he likes New Orleans. I think it's a good spot for him. It's close to where he grew up. He's got a lot of family in and around. But there's a lot of people in this league, a lot of players in this league who, especially the guys in the Olympic team, who really like and respect Boogie and feel like they could play with him.
We have a theory here on Jalen Jacoby that Boogie will be the catalyst for the next super team. And remember the question I asked you to start this conversation? Like, couldn't you see like a Boogie Paul George?
Yeah, I could see all of that.
Boogie Paul George, and then you got Ball, and the rest.
Look, all you have to do is look at what LeBron James needs to win. So as you get older, you need younger players, right? And you need people who do things that you used to do really well, but now that takes too much out of you, right? So defense, creating shots. Okay, so that's why Kyrie leaving was such a big deal for him because he needed him. He needed him to keep creating shots.
They would go to Kyrie at the end of games more than they would go to
LeBron
James.
Is going to get tired. Like, he is a cyborg. Yes, you're correct. But he's getting older, and you can't just put that on yourself all the time. So that's why he keeps tweeting at Lonzo. That's why he keeps saying nice things.
But another thing that LeBron really needs around him, though, that they don't have, shooting.
That's correct.
Brook Lopez is their best three-point shooter. I'm not kidding. That's not a joke.
Yeah,
that's not a joke.
It's not.
I
do like when Brook Lopez shoots.
I do too.
It is fun.
Yeah, it goes in. I get happy.
And he shoots every time, like a green light.
But it's like it's if we were talking about LeBron not coming here, is how we started this whole thing. But all NBA roads lead back to LeBron James. But I agree with you that DeMarcus Cousins being on the Lakers next year is not a stretch.
They wanted him last time.
It's not a stretch.
They tried to go trade for him when he was in Sacramento.
They're not saying Brook Lopez is the center of our future with this franchise.
Although I think they would, if they don't get like a DeMarcus or DeAndre or something like that, if they have the 2 max spots taken up by the Paul and LeBron or whatever it is, I think they would re-sign Brook because he does do some nice things. But
Zubac is not the center of the future either. I love Zubac. Don't get me wrong.
What happened to Zubac?
He was
they don't
good.
Play
the
him.
End of last year, he was good.
They don't play him.
Summer League, he was all right. But here's the thing: Luke Walton knows more about Zubac than I do.
Probably true.
You know what I mean? And something tells me that if he was
who
I think he is, he would be playing.
Okay, but the Lakers need to go into full 2010 New York Knicks mode, where everyone just got showcased so you could trade them. And they're not quite there yet. I still think they're trying to win. Right? They're not trying to be we're just going to get your stats up there. No, they're trying to win. They just can't shoot. And I think look at how they're playing right now. They're not Randall's coming off the bench, so he's going to look good because he's playing against second units all the time. Clarkson looks good. Both those guys, I think, are the types that you look could be moved because they have to create enough cap space.
Randall's moved. He's off the team, as far as I'm concerned.
I don't think. Okay, if he doesn't get traded, there's a scenario that's really going to suck for him, okay? But they could wait him out. They could wait to see if they get free agents, and then they could rescind their qualifying offer. He could get in that spot where they just make him wait and wait and wait.
He'll get picked up somewhere and make millions of dollars.
No, this happened to Shabazz Muhammad. Remember that? He didn't end up getting much of a deal.
Yeah.
It's a tough spot for him
now too, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's changed his name officially.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Finally, I had 1 million kids this weekend.
Yep.
So I didn't get a lot of chance to watch sports. So I recorded.
When you say you had 1 million kids, at your house,
I didn't birth them.
Okay.
No. My wife was out of town, so I had my 3 children who were very young in a handful.
And it feels like a lot more when they're under 5. Yeah.
Yes, it does. So, and then I had this scenario where I recorded the Pacers-Rockets game just so I could at least have a nice 90 minutes of just sports time before I go to bed. Because there was a blowout in the NFL game.
So how'd you just pick Pacers-Rockets?
It was the only late game.
Okay, got it.
And by the time I can't watch a day game at night because I know what happened on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was watching this Rockets team saying they do not have CP3, who's an excellent basketball player, and they look really good.
Yeah, you know why they look good? Because they have Luke Mbamute and they have PJ Tucker, and those dudes are strong.
And they put out this lineup of Tucker, Mute, Ariza, and Capella, and they're like, we don't care if James Harden doesn't play defense. Guess what? Everybody else in our uniform does play defense. It was pretty impressive to the point where it led me to ask this question to you: could they beat the Warriors in a 7-game series?
I don't see it.
No.
Sorry.
It's hard to pick another team against the Warriors.
I know, we're trying to
Let's
make
say
it
0 to 100. What percentage chance would you give them? It's going to be less than 50.
I say 15%.
15%.
15. Somebody could get hurt on the Warriors. That's it.
15.
That's it. I'm sorry.
Oh, that bums me out.
Because to me, the Warriors are, and I have to check the stats on this, but last year they were one of the best teams.
We don't check stats on this show. Don't worry about it.
I know.
Just say stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
But last year they were one of the strongest teams at defending the 3-pointer. What do the Rockets do really well? Shoot the 3. So the Warriors defend what the Rockets do the best, and when you take that away from them, then James Harden has to do a lot of dribbling. And I know they got Chris Paul to do some of the dribbling too, but I just think, how do they win if you take away their best weapon? It's
yes or no question. Does Chris Paul play on the same team as LeBron James next year?
No.
Why not?
I don't think they want to play together. I think that they're friends, and that's all it needs to be.
Oh, you don't the same way you don't want to move in with your friends. It's you don't want to ruin that friendship.
I don't think their games go together. I don't see it. There's been a lot of
Derrick Rose's game don't go together.
No, but he was a little desperate. Okay, Kyrie left. There wasn't no much else out there at that point. Okay, but and I don't think like Chris was already off the board at that point.
Sure.
Dwayne didn't really have a job.
Chris also wanted to get paid at that point. That's not something that.
Yeah, he didn't make that. I mean, he gets a chance to make money, but I don't know that Chris is getting a big deal next year. I think he left a lot of money on the table.
His performance, but right now,
to me, Chris Paul made a huge financial sacrifice and risk in his move to Houston, and he did that because he recognizes to be one of the all-time greats, which he already is. You have to win, and you have to be seen as doing everything in your power to do that. It remains to be seen whether that team has enough to win. I think they did the right thing. I think that they have the right construction, and like what you say is correct. They're long and they're good, and they won on opening night and all that. But I just don't see anybody beating the Warriors unless somebody gets hurt. Well, I'm going to eat my words. I know it. You just set me up like you're going to play that back.
Don't worry. No, they never record this show.
Yeah.
And all the staff just they don't even
There's
listen.
like a clip of me on Around the Horn saying,
right now.
Chris Paul will not leave $200 million on the table.
Of course.
He's the head of the Players Association, and he didn't negotiate that deal.
Here's how it works on this show.
Oops.
If you're right, we'll play the clip.
Got it.
If you're wrong,
got it.
Media got corrupted. Media got corrupted. We don't have it.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming through. It's been a lot of fun. All of our podcast listeners will be back tomorrow, as we always are, and I believe we might even have Jalen Anthony Rose.
Woo.